The day has finally arrived to pull back the covers and reveal my Ferrari 12CILINDRI. But just wait until you see how my retro specification has turned out for this car. We're at Silverstone for the collection day, a circuit that's not only steeped in motorsport history, but played a huge role in the existence of this new Ferrari today. As soon as the 12CILINDRI was introduced, I knew it needed to happen to join the collection. It was then a case of building my dream spec with HRO in Ferrari London before fast forwarding to today to collect the car from Silverstone, to take it for the first drive, to bring it back to join the rest of the cars here at the Shmuseum. Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel. Today is Ferrari 12CILINDRI Day. For nearly 80 years of producing cars, one thing has defined Ferrari above all else: the V12 engine. From Enzo Ferrari's first ever car in 1947, the 125S that I've actually filmed at the Purosangue Museum in California, all the way to the 375 F1 that took their maiden Grand Prix victory a few years later in 1951, right here at Silverstone Circuit. In the words of Enzo Ferrari himself,
Il 12 cilindri resta sempre la macchina originale della Ferrari quando lei pensa che nel 1946 è nato il 12 cilindri 1500 centimetri cubi.
So when Ferrari launched the new 12CILINDRI, a name that literally translates from Italian to mean 12-cylinder, there was no holding back, only a case of what colour to choose for the new Shmeemobile. When I test drove it for the first time and experienced that 6.5-litre naturally aspirated V12 that's living on until today, goosebumps were well and truly in overdrive. From the outset, the new 12CILINDRI's design is a throwback to the 365 GTB4, the car that was nicknamed by the media at the time as the Daytona. A while back, I drove a late example of the model, which had been in production from 1968 to 73, but the front fascia and strong body lines have an obvious connection, so for me the immediate option was to build a spec that would pay homage to the 12CILINDRI's roots. With a desire for an early car, right after it was introduced, we sat down at the Atelier in London, taking a run over a series of different period-suitable colours, like Verde Masone and Bronzo Masaru, before settling on one that was used on the original Daytonas, Oro Chiaro. In fact, 16 of them were originally produced in this colour, but it's been a very rare choice in recent times on modern Ferraris. Next came the interior, and with Ferrari's famous Daytona-style seats, we've similarly thrown it back with a 70s theme that mixes cream and brown. Knowing that this is quite the retro and potentially controversial spec, the question is, how will it look when we take a look at the real thing later? Which brings us to the collection day. We're setting off from here at the Shmuseum, the home of my car collection, to go up to Silverstone. And of course, for a day picking up a new Ferrari with a V12, there can only be one car we're taking. It is the Purosangue. This has done loads of miles, the most practical of Ferrari's fleet, sharing the V12 engine. So let's have a cold start, let's get that started, let's get on the road, and let's go pick up the new Shmeemobile. There is something about this, when you downshift a V12 Ferrari, and the sound that it makes is simply glorious. Now, I've been lucky to own a number of V12 Ferraris over the years. My first ever Ferrari was an FF in Blue Le Mans. Then it was followed up by a GTC4 Lusso, the successor, in Blue Tour de France. In fact, I then had another GTC4 Lusso, also in blue Pozzi, before buying the Purosangue back in Blue Le Mans, the same colour as the first. The new car, though, is neither blue nor a four-seater as all of these. It is my first two-seat V12 Ferrari Super GT. If you think of Ferrari, you think of the icons, the 250 GTO, the different Daytonas, the different models from the past, and that configuration. And that's what it's about today. Going to get it. As days go, to enjoy this scream, it could not get a whole lot better than this. And technically today is a bit of a back-to-back because we're driving here in the Purosangue and going to be going home in 12CILINDRI. Literally driving one then the other to see how these cars stack up. But I tell you what, it's a celebration of this engine note. And this does it pretty spectacularly to begin with. Wait until what's coming later. Here we are then, the gate in front of us. Good afternoon from Silverstone. Let's head in. Let's go find this car. This way, National Paddock is in front of us. Of course, the circuit has changed a bit over the years, but we are heading towards some of the pit garages here. This is where we're coming. I've been told garages 2 to 4. So we'll park up here. Oh, not long now. A small distraction for a moment because this is the Silverstone Museum. We're gonna go inside and see some of the things that are on display here, and all of this story is gonna tie together. Come on in. There's a ton of history to Silverstone, but while we're actually surrounded by some of the track maps, in the 1950 and the 51 year when Ferrari won for the first time, the old layout used to come across here. It's changed a number of times since. So the pits were there. They moved in 52 to the national pits, which is where we're headed, and then now they're at the wing over on this side. But come on through because we need to explore. Our journey is going to begin over here, past the Brabham BT10 from 64 and the Formula 3 Titan here, because this is in chronological order. And if we go back to 1951, look, Ferrari's first F1 World Championship race win, won by Gonzales, the first time Ferrari won. And that car, the 375 F1, had a 4.5 litre V12. You get the theme. Right, race suits in the 60s. Could you imagine racing in this kind of gear compared to what we get to wear now when we're out on track? This is so cool. Everything has raced here over the years. We have an Alan Mann Racing Lotus Cortina. That's a familiar livery from the collection. We have BTCC cars, Formula 1 cars, karting, motorcycles, Formula E and different tech demonstrations, more F1 cars, World Endurance Championship. It's called the home of British motorsport for a reason. This is what I was saying earlier, the circuit evolution, how it changed from the RAF course and the perimeter roads, the original start-finish until 1951, then the national pits and the wing, and how it's expanded since. For the F1 fans, we have a Ricciardo car from 2014, Mansell's winning Silverstone car, the FW14, the Brawn car 2009, Jenson Button's championship winning year. Come round, this is the FW18, that was a Williams championship winning year. This is the predecessor to the show car that I own as well, Damon Hill and Jacques Villeneuve. I've got to come back to this, the BRM from 1973. This was Lauda's car, and in fact the first car that Niki Lauda won some points in before he was poached and went to Ferrari. The 72 Lotus was so far ahead of its time. These ran for about 5 years. This is a Ronnie Peterson car, but if you think about the aerodynamics, the adjustable aero in fact, onboard brakes, the rigid engine, part of the chassis and the structure, they were dominating at that period. On the floor back outside, look, Carlos Sainz, British GP 2022. One of the F1 wins for Ferrari, and over here I want to show you another one. And as expected, Gonzales down there. Right, I think we should go head back over. Wind it back. It is the first time coming here to HRO and Ferrari Hatfield to see the car, to go and take a look. It should be inside the handover bay, ready for us to go and check it out. But here we are, a place of course we have visited, even including collecting this car, collecting the 296, the Roma, and we're gonna go down this way, park up, and head inside in a moment. This is the one, the Ferrari 12-cylinder in a very familiar handover delivery room. We've been here with the Puro for the 296 and the Roma, but this is the time to see this new car, the long-awaited 12CILINDRI, for the first time here at HRO and Ferrari Hatfield. Come on in, let's go check it out. I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. One day, there will be a yellow Ferrari in my collection, this 296 in Giallo Modena. But I want to skip past the Portofino to come and show you what is on the podium over here. One of the 12CILINDRIs, this styling, this retro throwback to the old 365 GTB. But this is in Rosso Imola, a newer paint color. For me, when you've got this heritage style design, we needed to link it with the spec. That's why we've gone for what we have. Come on down, let's go see it. This Roma Spider is in Verde Zeltweg. You might remember this is one of the colors we considered for the XX, more on that very soon. F8 Tributo, 812 GTS and a Purosangue, but what we've come to see is right over here. It's time, here we go. Under this cover is the car that I cannot wait to do a ton of miles with. Before we get it pulled off fully, let's have a quick sneak peek. Come down here, let's check out this color. Oh, look at that Oro Chiaro in the sunshine, this retro throwback. I can't wait to see this in just a second. Before we do, you already know it, the plate for the car is going to be this, SH12 MEE. It couldn't be any other number for the 12-cylinder 12 Cilindri. The 12-cylinder will always be the original Ferrari car. A quote from Mr. Enzo Ferrari. This is going to be adorning this car for many miles ahead. So let's do this. No more waiting then. My first time seeing this. Let's take a look at the new 12 Cilindri. Oh my days. That color. The retro styling, it needed a color like this. The big silver wheels, the extra details, the interior as well, especially the way you see through to that from outside. Oh, I am happy right now. That is so good. That's so different from any others as well. I think we should probably have the full reveal as well for you guys. And here we are in the pit garages at one of the most famous motorsport venues in the world, a place steeped in history when it comes to Ferraris with a V12 engine. And time to pull back this cover to reveal to you my new Ferrari 12 Cilindri. Let's do this. Let's take a first look at the Oro Chiaro Italian Super GT. Just feast your eyes over this car. I could not be happier with how this looks. These retro styling cues linked with the retro theme, so 70s in every possible way. I know there's the big talking point about this design around the front, but the more time you spend looking at it, the more that starts to make sense. We've got the big silver wheels, something I always love, a 5-spoke silver wheel over the silver calipers. Of course, we've gone for the exterior carbon fiber, the side skirts around the front, all of the optional extras, but this thing boasts a monster of a V12 up front. It's going to make a monster of a sound out of the exhaust tips at the back. The design back here, this delta wing style that you have over the rear deck, the active aero flaps here as well. There's going to be so much to talk about and take in with this, but I have to show you the interior. We're going to go through all of the spec in more detail later, but look at this. I am very proud of this interior. The dual tone of crema, that traditional Ferrari cream, with Irocco, the brown leather, the contrast, the Daytona style seats, the two different colors working so well together, and just this mega throwback to the 1970s. I'm excited for the drive home shortly and to get this back to the Shmuseum. Back here at Ferrari Hatfield, this was of course the first time for me seeing the new car in full, to be able to take it in prior to the official collection day. But being a new Shmeemobile, there is one thing that we never do without, and that is of course a visit to Topaz Detailing. Let's get this started and take it on round to Topaz Hatfield and go find out more about the process. Tell me what you think.
Mate, this is a brave spec.
It's bright, isn't it?
This is a brave spec.
It's about as bold and in your face as you can get. But do you know what? I think it's a car that links back to the history of the old Daytona. It needed to be done in something that linked to that. And obviously now it's here. It's here in your Hatfield studio. Well,
look, I think first of all, thanks for bringing it. I mean, we appreciate you bringing your car in here. I'm also appreciating the fact that I can see it in real life and see what it looks like. Because I mean, from the specs and everything, when I heard you're going to go gold, I was like, has Tim gone mad? But it's fine. I get it now. I totally
it's about
get
the
it.
history, and then look at the interior as well.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it makes it does make when you start talking about the history of what your theory of doing this, it makes sense. It really does. And you know what? It does give you proper 70 vibes. When you're looking at it, you're like, I feel like I'm back in the 70s. Well, I was never around in the 70s. but
Champagne gold bodywork.
Yeah, exactly.
So come on.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Over the years, obviously, we've brought quite a few of my cars through different Topaz studios, different Topaz locations.
Yeah.
Mixture of full paint protection film coverage, some maintenance washes, all sorts of different things.
All sorts of weird and wonderful things as well.
We should probably revert a little bit back to basics.
Yeah.
Why PPF?
Yeah, for sure. It's a good point, actually. So a lot of people, when you're on this color specifically, it's such an expensive paintwork, right? But it's not just even on expensive paintwork or expensive cars. People just don't like to have stone chips on their cars. They don't like to have scuffs, road rash. So now it's just a given that as soon as you get a new car, straight from the dealer, you take it to a paint protection film specialist, and who will put the film on the car for you. But once you've had it, you don't want to not have it again, if you know what I mean.
You don't need to tell me. So over the time, obviously, we've had cars that 100 miles in, I don't know if you remember my 675 LT, 100 miles
Very
in with
well.
a massive
Yeah.
chip right in the middle of the front, only on the
remember.
PPF.
Yeah.
But also going to so many different events, especially convoy drives with other cars.
Yeah.
As these cars
That's the biggest
have
killer.
more and more aggressive aerodynamics,
Yeah.
wider and stickier tyres than ever before,
Yes.
the amount of stones that fly up at you if you're following one,
Yep.
if you want your front end to
Catastrophe.
still look good down the line, you need to have some protection film
If you
on
still
it.
want paint on the car,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you'd put some PPF on it.
Otherwise, it's going to have complete road rash and nothing
Honestly.
left. We're obviously here in Hatfield.
Yeah.
This is mega convenient, but this is one of you have so many studios now.
I know. Honestly, I'm having to write them down now because I'm forgetting which locations
How many
we
are there in
have.
the UK?
Well, in the UK, right, by the end of the year, we're going to have 10.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 studios. So we just opened up Scotland.
Yeah.
That's going to actually, by the time the video airs, it's going to be literally launching. Yeah, Manchester's another one that we're opening. Obviously, the Peninsula was one that we opened previously. So yeah, we've got quite a lot of studios. And the reason for the UK, I mean, look, the UK is not a huge market, but why I wanted to have so many studios in the UK, because I'm a firm believer that people who want to do something on their car, they want to see the process as well, and they want to get up close and personal with the car. So if we're close to the customer, then they will be able to pop in and see it and go, oh, I really like that, I really like that. Obviously, it's a huge investment, but I think for the long term, I think it's the right move.
And it's now not even just PPF, right? We've been talking about this because you've got so many other things. We did a bit of almost piano black PPF for the black detailing on my Huracan STO.
Yeah.
But
that looked good.
You're doing so much more with this now because it's all the other things like Dreamlines.
Yeah, decals on the Porsches. I mean, on Porsches, it's a massive thing for us because a lot of the Porsches, and they come in with a specific type of decal down the side that you just can't get from factory. So they go onto the Topaz shop and then select the color that they want, and it's all colored for PTS colors. Which you and I really like PTS and like specific colors. And you can actually get custom-made decals now for your whatever color you want. So it's a very, very unique thing.
So with this, if we wanted, for example, to accentuate some of the carbon and add some Dreamlines and detailing, you can match that to the bodywork.
100%. 100%. And there's so many different ways of doing it. Now we use colored PPF, which has a lot of different colors now. The color palette is growing. We have vinyls, of course, air release vinyls and stuff like that. But if even we can't find a vinyl to be the right color, or we can't find colored PPF to be the right color, we have a final option, which is like the ultimate customizable option, where we actually paint a vinyl with your actual paint code.
So the process will begin.
Yes.
Obviously, already had its wash prep.
Yes.
Been through some of the first stages. It's going to get paint protection film installed.
Now it's quality control stages. Obviously, this is one of the part of the process we do. We check around the paint to make sure if there's any inconsistencies in the paintwork. Obviously, the factory always do a good job from making sure that it's at a certain level, but we just try to make that level even higher, which no factory will do unless you're buying a £5 million car.
Yeah, it's about that absolute level of perfection. It's always very hard to explain why would you need to do work on a car that is brand new?
Yes,
and it's, as you say, it's built to this level. Yeah. But if you're an absolute perfectionist, you want this level.
That's exactly it. And you're not going to get that, unfortunately, unless you're buying a Bugatti, which you're spending millions and millions and millions on.
Well, it's an extra zero on the end of this, and some for a new Tourbillon.
That's exactly it. You see, so that's what I mean. So, but the base, the nice thing about modern paint, with all manufacturers, to be honest with you, is the base paint is actually pretty good. So we're able to work with it pretty well. Whereas before it used to be very inconsistent. Some areas used to be thinner than others. So now it's very consistent. So it's a good start.
Bit of a problem if you don't know what you're playing with.
Yeah.
Well, I'm quite excited for this to get done and ready to head back and take it for a drive. The first part of the process to install paint protection film at Topaz Detailing is to give the car a proper wash. Now, you might be wondering, why does a brand new car need a thorough clean? But the reality is that after time at the factory and then in transport, it will always pick up lots of dust and dirt or other contaminants which risk getting trapped under the PPF and causing problems later on. So the wash begins with Iron X. This reacts with things on the surface, creating a purple-like blood that shows it's working. Then it's onto the wheels, and being equipped with the right tools and techniques helps to get all the way around the awkwardly large calipers and discs that you find on modern cars. A fine brush is then used through every single gap, around every badge, and anywhere that dirt could be hiding. After a shampoo and a full rinse, the car is then workshop ready. Once in situ, It's under the lights, making it possible to find any defect or areas that might need work before the film is installed. There are 122 bespoke templates in total from Topaz for this car alone, and each panel is approached individually. The install begins by cleaning the specific surface and spraying some slip solution before back-rolling the piece of film that's going on to get it loosely into position. The procedure then involves the spray on both the underside to adjust the position and on top to help the squeegee application before using a stick solution from a specific point to hold it in place. By carefully working around the panel in question, it makes for the perfect fit and has always fascinated me to watch, seeing this film eventually worked to completely becoming invisible over the surface. To finish off the panel, the edges are then neatly tucked around the bodywork before it's then a case of repeating many more times on all the different areas, including awkward to access carbon fibre aero elements, the gloss black trims especially, as these really tend to show any hairline scratches that will come from future cleaning and general use. The key is in the preparation, the time and care taken on each installation, and later the quality control checks to ensure the perfect result and ready for the car to drive out.
Straight into the trailer it goes. Mr. Turbo Transport bringing it along today. That colour in the sunshine. Phenomenal. Love this area and setup as well, to have the space to just get this in. See, big car, but ready now to be taken on. Back in the Silverstone pit garages then with this 12 Cilindri. I want to show you some of the options and more of the specification because we spent a very long time working on this configuration. The paint colour links back to that 365 GTB4. The fact that it was used on the original car, the car to which this is a tribute to begin with, the Daytona as it was coined by the media, made it work perfectly. There were 16 painted in it in total. Now most of those had a black interior, but some had a dual tone, often with tan and brown leather, but this mix of the crema with the Irocco works so immensely well. We'll get to more of the interior in a second because there are a lot of options there. So we've got the wheels shod with the Pilot Sport S5 tyres, the silver calipers. We've got lots of the exterior carbon fibre, for example, the diffuser back here, even these little blades that you have running around the top. Remember, this is your active aero that actually comes up when you're driving. More of that to come in the future. All of the other carbon options, the skirts, this little insert right here, which I particularly like. I'm a big fan as well of the Scuderia shields. Yes, sometimes on the bigger cars it works with the hand airbrushed shields, but there's the traditional element for me that really ties in with this. The number plate is naturally a tribute to what's hiding right behind it, the 12-cylinder power plant up front. In fact, talking about it, let's come round and just open this up for a moment. In traditional Ferrari fashion, right under the centre, and then it pivots from the front. But this is where we have 830 horsepower of naturally aspirated V12, and just look at that engine bay. It sits mounted right behind the front axle. It's a front mid-engined car, rear-driven, 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. It's going to be the most amazing driving experience. I love how it's open over the tyres like this. All of the details. It's a massive thing, that whole front end. If we come round towards the back, it does have a powered tailgate. Press the button right here. We added that little Italian flag, another detail I'm very proud of. We've got the glass on the roof as well, you'll see that in a second. We've got the shelf back here, and that reveals the personalization specifications chart. It's always the thing, how many options do you have on your car? And there are a lot of them. We configured a ton of different things when it comes to this. So inside, look at this. To add the dual tone leather, that's always a big option. The glass roof, which I think looks amazing when you look up through it. Then we've got the Daytona style seats with the inserts, the Alcantara in the center. We've got the carbon LED driver's zone, so the carbon fiber steering wheel and some of the surrounding elements, but balancing a little bit of carbon without doing all of it, without going too far. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to the screens. The new display in the center, they all still have their films on, ready to be pulled off in the future. This thing is absolutely bonkers. It's time to come and start this, right? We have the two keys with the new Ferrari. So you have one that has the yellow Scuderia shield, the other has it in grey. I tend to keep the yellow ones tucked away in the safe for good measure in the future to be immaculate. Inside here though, it's probably going to sound quite cool in the garage. Obviously, it's going to be a warm start. It's only just been brought up, but turn on the ignition, put it into race mode and press the magic button. This is so cool. This is so cool. All right, let's pull it out into the pit lane. I think it's fair to say that this is a pretty cool place to have collected a new car. Wow, that color in the sunshine, that specification. This thing is, it's unlike any car that I've previously ordered. In fact, all of the Ferraris that I've been lucky to own have been totally different specifications. But I felt with this design, it needed that retro throwback. It needed that styling that would really bring out the shapes, the lines. And I feel like it's done such a good job of that. But you know what needs to happen now? We need to go for the first drive. The first drive to take it back to base. After locking up from the pit boxes, we're gonna have the Purosangue in tow. And here we go. Not the first time I have driven a 12 Cilindri, because I was lucky to drive one in Luxembourg. Well, more than one actually, on the Global Media Drive. I think I got behind the wheel of 3 different examples. First thing I'm going to say, which is always the case with Ferrari, I have to bring the steering wheel right up to me to get comfortable, and still there's slight, like I wish there was a little bit more leg space, but that's something you just kind of get used to with these things. Immediately, it is calm, it is smooth, it is gentle. It's a GT car. Obviously we've got the AC blasting. It says 24 degrees Celsius. I can kind of probably believe it. It is absolutely toasty for this time of year. Oh, this feels cool. The bonnet out in front, the colors as well. Looking out over the brown of the dashboard and the A-pillars and the headliner and everything around us across that enormous bonnet. This is a cool car. It's a cool day. I bleated on for years about the 812 Superfast, but I always opted for the Lussos and the Puro, kind of waiting for the next generation car, waiting for the one that would be new so that I could order it to my spec. I love buying cars in a specific specification, the story behind them, this experience, collecting it from new. To me, that is basically priceless. And now here we are, ready for the madness to begin. Basically immediately, straight after this, we're literally going the next morning, tomorrow morning, on a massive road trip, many of the videos of which you'll be able to find on the Shmuseum channel, a bit of behind the scenes. And then maybe we'll be back here at Silverstone for some fun with it in the future, maybe some fun with the SF90XX. But yeah, what a day. The funny thing is that this car is driving out, having not driven in. So the plate isn't on any registry or anything, having come in the trailer. Obviously Tony Turbo Transport set off earlier, but out we go, onto public roads. In the 12 Cilindri. I'm going to be really boring for a second. Running in process. Given this is a car I want to keep for a while, I'm going to follow it by the book. That means the first 600 miles needs to be driven pretty gently. You can start building it up a little bit, and you obviously have so much power that even at pretty low RPMs you still have more than enough. But it does mean driving it in, well, sport is the equivalent of comfort mode in here. The only other one is wet. But rather than putting my foot down and absolutely booting it for the longevity of the engine, for the warranty, for doing as per the instructions in the book. At the end of the day, it's worth getting these things right. It's a very expensive car, it's a very special car, and I want to look after it correctly. An observation driving is that I think this car is going to need an exhaust. In manual, second gear, that's about 3,000 RPM, but it's basically silent. In fact, it's going to say, will we get a downshift in the tunnel, but not really. I think we could go a little bit louder on this one. First time I've actually said that about a Ferrari, because all of my Ferraris, obviously we have stop-start, but we've got heli, can fire it back up. All of the Ferraris I've owned to date have only had a valve switch. Never had anything more than that. But I just feel like this should be brutal. I never did it on the Purosangue, because that's the everyday, comfortable, like a little bit more subtle, discreet car. I know I can't use too many RPMs while it's still being run in, but it is very docile, probably more so than I remembered. The downshifts are incredibly sharp though, I've got to give it that. And obviously when it's run in about, gosh, 24 hours time from now, then we'll be able to really give it the beans. It's going to be one of the quickest cars I've ever run in, and go have a lot of fun with it. All coming very soon. The thing is, the Puro is run in, right? Actually sounds quite good. Not bad. Here we are, 12CILINDRI is home. Wow. Okay, into gear, off. How does this look in the garage? That is a very different color to everything else that's here right now. Oh, it's surreal, finally seeing it. Here at base, took some time, but it was worth the wait. There's something I'm really bad at doing with new cars, and this time around, we're gonna get it right straight from the off, and that is if I swing in to do with these, the screen protectors. One down, that's quite satisfying. Two down. Oh, that one's a little bit more awkward. Done. And three, how are we gonna get this? How are we gonna get this? I can't get this. I'm gonna have to go around the other side. That was not easy, but it's off. I can happily say that the screen protectors are off on day one. So there we have it. It is a huge thanks to everybody involved, the team at Topaz and Nabil, the paint protection film that's been applied and installed, of course to the team at HRO and Ferrari London for everything to get this car through and ready, and of course to the team at Silverstone for today. If you like videos like this, check out the one right over there, but thank you very much for your support. That's it for now, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!